essentially the message coming from Russia as to why they used their power of a veto for the 10th time when it comes to matters concerning Syria is they believe that despite weeks of negotiations with the likes of the United States behind closed door, this draft text presented them still wasn't balanced. Of course, we've heard from Sergei Lavrov, the Russia's foreign minister, who's come out and said that investigators in Syria as part of the GIM were carrying out orders from outside, very much in reference to incidents like in Khan Sheikhoun. Of course, the message from the US ambassador, Nikki Haley, very clear. She says that these investigators are operating completely independently, and the real concern from the US is that further changes to this draft resolution, they wouldn't be able to apportion blame to sides in Syria in the future. So that's a real sticking point as far as the US is concerned. Of course, concessions have already been made. We've seen the US change their draft somewhat to include some provisions called for by Russia, the likes of informing the council if investigators say they can't access sites on the ground safely, to change the length of the renewal mandate from 24 months down to 12 months. So still clearly huge sticking points, though, do remain.
It was just a few days ago that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin issued a joint statement saying that there can be no military solution to the Syrian civil war. But can the United Nations now be disregarded as a body that could possibly provide a political solution? There continue to be vetoes, as we've been saying.
Of course, for years now, there's been plenty of criticism at the United Nations about this scale of deadlock. Of course, as I mentioned, 10 times now that Russia have used their power of a veto when it comes to issues regarding Syria. But regarding the JIM, though, last year we were in a similar predicament. The United States was able to put forward an emergency renewal that extended for a further 2 weeks or so, for a couple of weeks. After those couple of weeks, they managed to get together and come up with a more meaningful, longer-term solution to extend that mandate for another year or so. So clearly, the UN has been able to reach a compromise, back-channel communications between the two sides in the past. Diplomats very much hoping this will happen again. Now, we've heard from the UK ambassador to the United Nations, Matthew Rycroft, speaking on Thursday at the UN. He said that we're not going to give up and we're going to make sure that victims on the ground in Syria get justice. Of course, we've also heard from Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the spokesperson for the White House, who's come out and said that she's optimistic that Vladimir Putin, Russia's president, and his US counterpart, President Donald Trump, can work together on matters like the issues in Syria. Of course, that'll very much be put to the test now.